Today, we're diving deep into how happiness impacts productivity in the workplace, a vital component of our community's fabric.
So, the ADP Happiness at Work Index is really aiming to provide employers in the Canadian market with timely insights.
Heather's insights on the Happiness at Work Index aren't just numbers, they are a reflection of our daily realities.
We understand what's happening with inflation, but household inflation, in terms of the things that actually cost people money to run their households, impact how it is that they're feeling around things like flexibility.
Let's pause here and consider significant impact of economic stresses on our work life. As Heather mentioned, how many of you have felt that pinch during your workday?
What are the ways that generative AI can help ensure that the things that need to be done in order to be compliant are there?
Hi everyone, this is your host Maheen, welcoming you to another engaging Canadian SME Small Business Podcast episode. Today, we're diving deep into how happiness impacts productivity in the workplace, a vital component of our community's fabric. We're very thrilled to have Heather Haslam, the VP of Marketing at ADP Canada, with us to explore transformative approaches in workplace management. Heather is a renowned senior marketing leader with extensive experience in driving change and fostering productivity across marketing, sales, and product management. At ADP Canada, Heather's innovative strategies have significantly enhanced employee engagement and customer relationships. Hi, Heather. Welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. How are you today?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much again for having me on. It's
I
nice
know.
to see you.
Welcome back. First of all, it's always so good to have you, share the workplace index and the intricacies of how to manage employee well-being, right? And we are very excited to delve deeper into the statistics and the insights with you today. But to begin things with, Heather, ADP Canada has, recently highlighted the crucial role of employee well-being through innovative happiness at work index. Could you please share the motivations behind this index and the demographic focus of your survey?
Sure. So the ADP Happiness at Work Index is really aiming to provide employers in the Canadian market with timely insights. And so what it is that we do is we reach out to working Canadians across the country and representing a number of different generations and tap into how it is that they're feeling about happiness at work. And it has two elements to it. So the first element, making up 50% of the score, is the simple answer to how workers are feeling in their current role and responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And it's out of 10, how happy are you?
Right.
The second element is actually made up of 4 different components. So one of those components is flexibility and work-life balance. One of them is rewards and recognition. We look certainly at career advancement, as well as how much support they have in their organization. And those elements really help to create the second part of the index. And so what this is about doing is creating an ongoing index to help employers really understand what are the nuances that drive happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And those change over time. So the seasonality, we've been at this for more than a year now,
Right.
is very indicative, as well as looking at what are the drivers for different types of workers.
Mm-hmm.
So regionally, we get some really good insight, as well as by generation, right? What it is that's driving a Gen Z worker versus a boomer are different.
Right. Oh, that's quite an insightful start, Heather. Well, what implications do these findings have for small businesses that are looking to adapt to these strategies?
So understanding the seasonality across regions and generations is really important for things like when to communicate changes, things like when to invest in training and development, and really understanding what are the nuances across regions, because our happiness in the workplace is not just about the workplace. It's also what's happening outside. So we've seen indications of things like the economic environment, even when we had wildfires across the country, what kind of implications that had. You know, we're human beings. And so
Right.
who it is that we are in the workplace is impacted by what's happening outside and vice versa. What we know about happiness at work is that it drives engagement. And this goes to the bottom line. When we have workers that really love what it is that they're doing, feel supported, feel that they're getting the recognition that they need, and that there's the development opportunities, really helps to get people jazzed about what it is
Right.
that they're doing. And that impacts productivity. How it is that people show up in their work based on all of these factors really drives to the bottom line. A more engaged employee, a happier employee, is more productive. And so, simply put, it's better for the business when we have more productive people. And when we have happier people in our communities, inside the workplace as well as out, we're in better shape.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, understanding these implications and motivations can, significantly help small businesses that are looking to foster, employee well-being and happiness. I want to take a moment here to connect directly with all of you listening. Heather's insights on the Happiness at Work Index aren't just numbers, they are a reflection of our daily realities. So really think about what makes you thrive at work and what might be holding you back. It's conversations like these that remind us of the power we have to shape our work environment for the better. But it's also quite evident that economic factors can often cast a long shadow over employee happiness, and this is an issue for many. I mean, it starts off from boardrooms to break rooms, right? Um, Heather, according to your index, what are the primary economic stressors affecting employees today?
Well, the cost of living,
Mhm.
right? We understand what's happening with inflation, but household inflation, in terms of the things that actually cost people money to run their households, impact how it is that they're feeling around things like flexibility. When the cost to travel to work, the attire that somebody has to wear in their workplace environment, all of these factors really drive that. The other one that I want to touch on is also vacation.
Mhm.
Through the pandemic, we learned that there's value to taking vacation even if you're not going anywhere.
Right.
So the economic factors around, well, I'm entitled to taking a break from work, but I don't have the money to invest in, traveling, say, doesn't mean that there's not value in taking that break. So
Mhm.
there are a number of factors that how it is that we're managing our households and how much we have extra money does impact the workplace, both in terms of the cost to the employee to do their job, as well as their ability to take a real break, to take
Right.
vacation and disconnect.
Those are great points, Heather. But how can businesses really support their staff in mitigating these stressors effectively?
Well, flexibility means something different for different employees. And it's really important to understand what those are. What are the motivators? Communicating expectations at the onset around what it is that's required is really important. And doing that early on, even doing it during the hiring process. If you're a small business owner, it costs a lot of money to hire, even the process to find the right talent and bring them in, but then the cost to onboard them and train them. If that employee doesn't have a good sense for what the culture is internally, what the expectations, what the measure of success for that role is, then the employee might not be as successful and then will leave prematurely. And all of that investment that the small business owner put into that is washed away and they have to start from scratch.
Mhm.
The other thing I touched on, vacation, is really important. And this is about supporting people to take their vacation, whether or not they're traveling or not, doesn't matter. The value to an employee when they come back or even getting excited for vacation is critical. The ability to take a break, to disconnect, is important. So, what can
Mhm.
small business owners do? Things like encouraging people to take vacation, but also, Maheen, setting up the structure so that people can take vacation.
Right.
So, things like having a backup so that people really aren't paying that time off tax, if you will, which is really the amount of time prior to and the amount of time after vacation that they're putting in extra hours, and the ability to really turn off. Because when somebody's taken a real break, when they're entitled to it and actually disconnect, they'll be better for the small business owner when they return. They'll be more engaged and they'll be happier and hence more productive.
Right. Now, it's quite clear that proactive approach can make tangible difference in managing, economic stress in the work lives. Let's pause here and consider significant impact of economic stresses on our work life. As Heather mentioned, how many of you have felt that pinch during your workday? It's very crucial we discuss these topics openly, not only to find individual coping strategies, but also to encourage systemic changes that support well-being in our workplaces. But it's also in this in this rapidly evolving workspace, technology can play a double-edged sword. It can complicate as well as simplify our work lives. On that note, Heather, how has ADP Canada leveraged technology to enhance employee happiness and productivity?
You said an amazing word there, simplification.
Yes.
Right. And the tools that people have to do their jobs to make it easier are critical.
Mhm.
So we have Standout,
Right.
which is a technology platform that allows managers, so the people leader and their employee, to check in on a weekly basis.
Mhm.
And it takes 5 minutes and it's a quick answer of a few questions. What did you love this week? And what did you loathe this week?
Right.
As well as what help you need. And that simple ability through technology to be able to communicate what's working, what's filling up their cup, what is tapping into their strengths,
Mhm.
is very helpful. There are a number of other things. So pay transparency, right? Being able to be upfront and clear to set the expectations. We touched on economic stress.
Of course.
When people understand what it is that they're going to get in terms of compensation and when, as well as what kind of benefits are available, is key. Having clear HR policies and procedures, having an employee handbook that really helps set the expectation of the employer for the employee, and it's providing clarity on that contract. Things like the mobile app, the
Mhm.
ADP Workforce Now on the Go mobile app, which is for the employee to be able to access information right from their phone easily in a timely way. Things like being able to make shift changes, for small businesses that are managing scheduling, that's very helpful.
Right.
Things like voice of the employee. So being able to tap into your employees' motivators and really pull from them in a data in a very simplified way, being able to pull from them that gives the employer data around what are the motivators, what's working, what's not, what could be improved,
Right.
right? What are the ways in which operations could be improved? Often
Mhm.
that comes from the front line, that comes
Right.
from the workers, and so creating tools and leveraging technology that allow employers to tap into that are critical.
Right, right. No, these are great and amazing insights that you've shared, Heather. But if we build onto this a bit more, are there specific technological innovations that you believe are most beneficial to the small businesses?
Anything that makes the employee's life around engaging with the employer easier are
Mhm.
helpful.
Right.
So, how they apply for a job, how able they are to get access to that culture that I touched on, what the expectations are, the onboarding, as well as training. What ways are you leveraging technology to make sure that you're upskilling and reskilling employees so that they're motivated? One of those indicators in the ADP Happiness at Work Index is really career advancement.
Mhm.
And so for small businesses, being able to provide, or small business owners, being able to provide their employees with a path and an idea of what else that they can do and grow into is
Right.
helpful. But also, what are the skills that the employer is helping to develop that they can take with them in their career, regardless of whether or not they're working in that organization, is really helpful. So when I also talk about flexibility and technology, what we're tapping into is what are the tools that you can invest in from a technology perspective that help with that communication,
Mhm.
with help employers getting to know those people leaders, actually knowing each of their individuals.
Right. We're going to take a short break now, but when we come back, we'll dive into the growing importance of sustainability in consumer preferences and how small businesses can really align with these expectations. So please stay tuned.
You dreamt big. You made the leap. You and your "we're not stopping at small" business. Doesn't matter you've never done it before. You unlock those problems. You adapt to change. You learn to evolve. You're pioneers in challenging times, finding your own frontiers. Wherever you e-commerce, UPS is with you. So nothing is going to hold you back.
Nope.
Constant Contact delivers the marketing tools your small business needs to keep up, excel, and grow. Constant Contact, helping the small stand tall.
Welcome back, everyone. Before the break, we discussed the impact of technology on employee happiness. Now, let's take our shift to something better, which is tools that you can use to enhance employee productivity. Now, Heather, as we look towards the future, staying competitive is key. And I'm sure myself and the audience would be very eager to explore your perspective on emerging trends that could redefine workplace happiness. Could you please share with our audience what future trends should businesses be aware of when it comes to this regard?
So there are a lot of trends that are impacting the way that the world of work is changing. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I wanted to touch on, there's really two that I want to touch on for small business owners in particular. And one that's important to understand as people leaders.
Right.
Generations in the workplace. So the emergence of boomers staying in the workplace longer and younger workers coming in, you now have more diversity in the generations. And so employers being able to understand the nuances and differences between how different generations are motivated, what it is that's driving their happiness, is really one of the key trends.
Right.
Another one of the trends, and I certainly not any kind of generative AI specialist by any means, but tapping into what are the tools that are available from generative AI to help small business owners really drive productivity. And there are a number of use cases around that. So I look at things like enabling compliance. What are the ways that generative AI can help ensure that the things that need to be done in order to be compliant are there. And I'm just saying, like, it could be as simple as triggering when a small business is at a certain employee size and in a region that now requires a certain level of training for health and safety, triggering that and then creating tools that help employers be compliant with that mandate, as an example. Employees completing tasks, right? We have depending on the small business and what the business actually is, figuring out how to use tools and use generative AI to help employees better do their jobs and more effectively is key. Reporting and analytics, right? Being able to not just gather data, because data in and of itself is sometimes overwhelming and not necessarily useful, but turning that into insights.
Right.
To help the small business owner make changes, know where to invest, what to stop doing. That kind of data reporting and analytics, the insights piece, is a definite use case for small business owners. And then simple things like search functionality, being able to tap into answers faster and more effectively. If you're doing customer service for a small business and you can very quickly, rather than trying to, the employee in their head go through the decision tree of what are all of the ways, what are the answers, what are the questions that I need to ask, prompting them and giving them those tools and then giving them the answer in a more timely way. That's not only going to improve happiness on behalf of the employee because their job's been made easier, but that improves customer service. That
Of
improves the client experience, if you will, which is, always good. We love happy clients because we know that that also impacts the bottom
Right.
line.
No, the AI, Gen AI has become a game changer for, I think, most industries. But how is ADP planning to adapt to these upcoming trends, Heather?
A number of ways. So we're certainly embedding generative AI into our own operations because a lot of small business owners in Canada are our clients.
Right.
And so equipping our service folks and our operations people with the tools that they need to be able to improve things. The reporting and analytics that I alluded to, being able to tap into trends faster allows us to be able to support small business owners more effectively. There are a number of ways that we're putting it into both our product as well as our operations. Empowering small business clients that are ADP, they have access to The Bridge, which is a community of small business owners like them, and being able to better connect people and better connect answers again more effectively certainly helps small business owners when they're trying to run their people stuff, right? Whether or not that's hiring, whether or not that all the way from hire to retire, but also of course payroll, right? That's key, and being able to understand what are the changing trends. I touched on compliance,
right?
We're evolving in different provinces, pay transparency, the rules around how it is that we're mandating pay transparency. What are the issues around that? And being able to help small business clients get ahead of that, so that they're not just meeting the minimum around compliance, but stepping above that. And what that does is it allows small business owners to be competitive, employers of choice, right? The employer brand is really important. Small business owners are competing with everybody for top talent. So it's about how it is that they're attracting that top talent. And then what are the tools that they're giving them when they're at the organization to keep with that engagement. Right. That, again, I keep going back to engagement and happiness because that will help keep the top talent for longer. So the payback on all that investment that we talked about small business owners have to do in order to attract is very beneficial.
No, I mean, this fast forward approach is what I love each time we have a conversation, Heather, because you always provide or offer our listeners with valuable guidance on preparing for the future workplace dynamics. But before we conclude, Heather, could you please share one crucial advice for our listeners who are aspiring to enhance workplace happiness within their own businesses?
When people leaders take the time to know their people, there's so much benefit to the organization. So, we've alluded to the ADP Happiness at Work Index as one factor in that, but it can't be taken in silo. Right. So empowering people to take time to actually know each of their individuals is really important. So what does flexibility mean, right? If you asked 8 people what flexibility mean, you'd probably get 10 or 12 different answers, right? More than what it is that you have. And those change over time. When my kids were small, Maheen, what flexibility meant to me was being able to jump when, the daycare called and somebody was sick. Now, flexibility means I'm going to pop out in the middle of the day for an hour to go to the soccer pitch and cheer my son on, right? And that flexibility is evolving over time. And so when employers take the time to build trust and get to know them, they can supplement the information that they have around the generational factors and the regional factors, because somebody is, let's say, at the end of their career, you can't make assumptions about what their lifestyle is and their life stage. Right. Because it's helpful and there are trends there, but really getting to know the individuals in terms of what's motivating them on all of those factors. Certainly money, recognition, career advancement, but work-life flexibility empowering people to have the time and structure and passion for getting to know them builds trust, and trust is key to an employee's sense of being seen where it is that they work.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we're social beings. Who it is that we are inside of the workplace, is impacted by outside and vice
Right.
versa. And so the real message is to take all of the information that's coming at them, but supplement that with the real energy of getting to know their people, to understand what those drivers are, and keep an ongoing system to check in, to make sure that as somebody's needs evolve, that they know that and understand it. That makes for a happier work environment. We happen to be in summer right now, and what we're seeing is that the ADP Happiness at Work Index has been on the rise. And so why is that, right? I alluded to vacation and the importance of taking that, but there are also other factors that small business owners can do to tap into what it is that's driving this. So maybe it's summer hours. Maybe there's flexibility around how much work is being done within the small business versus remote work. The attire, flexibility, vacation, actually encouraging taking a break. Maybe there are activities that can be done as a team, right? Tapping into community work and corporate social responsibility is motivating. Not only does that help our community, but it also helps the team come together for a good cause. So taking advantage of summer weather right now is valuable for small business owners, because we all want happiness at work to be on the rise and to stay up.
Thank you so much, Heather, for always having such an enlightening conversation and for sharing such insightful details across, just to encourage small business owners and to help them with their journeys. But again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
for
you
being
so
here.
much for having me. And I hope you continue to be as happy as you are at
thank
work.
you.
It shows. It shows.
Thank
Yes.
you. To everyone tuning in, we hope you found today's discussion useful for fostering a happier, more productive workplace. Again, thank you for our partners for making this possible. Our exclusive banking partner, RBC, shipping partner, UPS, email partner, Constant Contact, and our hospitality partner, IHG Business Edge. For more insights, please remember to subscribe to the Canadian SME Small Business Magazine through our official website, which is CanadianSME.ca. See you in the next episode.